Okay, awesome.
The
Well,
link
first,
tree.
let's say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Melanie and Sean here with Kev Webster. Super excited about what he's got to show us today. And we're going to hand it over to our MC.
Is that me?
That is you. Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us here today. Our guest is Kev Webster. He's the director of KevWebster.com. Kev is a practitioner of coaching and hypnotherapy and the author of the book Never Give Up, which offers practical tools and actionable advice for overcoming obstacles. Kev's philosophy revolves around building success through perseverance, resilience, and a willingness to engage fully with the transformative process. And check this out. He's a serial hobbyist who enjoys writing, angling, spoon carving, cheese making, Melanie.
I know, I saw that.
And drone cinematography. When he's not assisting hypnotherapists and starting their marketing path, you'll find him by the river, waiting for an elusive barbel to bite on his favorite Yorkshire river. And now today, Kev will present Unmasking Success, tackling the doubts that make you feel like a fraud, which is key before you start selling your hypnotherapy services. Now, this talk will show you how these doubts can mess with your marketing and tips on beating them. You'll learn how to spot these feelings, face them head on, and move past them. And this way you can market yourself confidently and attract clients who like what you truly offer. It's all about believing in yourself and showing that belief to others, making it a crucial first step for any hypnotherapist ready to grow their business. And now, ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Kev Webster as he presents Never Give Up. What's up, Kev?
Excited. Thanks, Kev, for being here. And I'm really excited for this because I know you have a way of weaving together the practical, like, let's get you in front of more people as a hypnotherapist with the interchange work that we need in order to step into our full power. So I'm all ears, excited for you, Kev. And you can take it over. And I've even given you, if you've got slides to share, you can. If we're going to hear you, it's all good. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So I can share my screen if I need to share my screen. That's it. Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, imposter syndrome. The first time I ever heard it was when I got involved with hypnosis. Never really came across the concept. And I think the first time I heard it was when Laurie Hammond actually did some hypnosis sessions to help people with imposter syndrome. And it really sort of struck me as being something that I'd never experienced. And I didn't realize how fortunate I was until I started to work with other hypnotherapists on their marketing and to hear just how common it was. And I realized that it really does mess up with the whole marketing message, because let's face it, when it comes to selling ourselves, because that's what we're doing, we're not selling hypnosis, we're selling ourselves. When it comes to selling ourselves, if people don't buy that, if they don't buy that we believe in what we're doing, then all their alarms are going to go off. Because let's face it, when it comes to hypnosis, there are so many things against us already. And I think it was Gerald Kine who said the biggest barrier to hypnosis is the fear of hypnosis. So we've got to help people overcome those fears. But if we're fearing what we're doing, that isn't going to be successful, then that's going to be a big problem. And the audience is going to pick up on that as well. And the minute we open our mouth, the audience, the potential clients are going to pick up on that. So yes, it is an issue. And I believe it presents itself in different ways. One of the ways it presents itself is the fear of failure. Because let's face it, when it comes to hypnosis, you could say that we're working with a certain magic, which is different to being a magician. I do magic, but I know how the magic works when I do a magic trick. But when it comes to hypnosis, there's always that magic that's going on for us and the magic that's going on for the client as well. And if we're not believing in that magic, if we're fearing failure of success, even though it's a combined effort, I believe, if we're fearing that success, then that can really mess with our confidence. If we're doubting what we're doing, if we're doubting the skills that we've got, if we're doubting our abilities with what we're actually doing, then that's going to mess. Now, sometimes it isn't your fault that you're doubting your abilities, because sometimes people get on certain programs that might just not really resonate with them, certain modalities, certain techniques. I'm not aware of all, hypnotherapy, coaching programs, teaching programs. But I know that some people have said to me, oh yeah, I do it like this, or I do it like that. And I'm thinking, really? Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how that works. And, if I'm thinking that, if they're questioning what they're actually doing, then they're going to be doubting the effectiveness of what they're doing. And then there's the imposter syndrome, which, comes in as being, I don't actually feel as though I'm capable or worthy of doing this, which is another big problem. So you've got all those things coming in. And I did a poll on the Hypnosis Business Club, and I asked people what they struggled with most. And the answers that I got back were 4 things were prominent, 4 things altogether. And that was the fear of failure, doubt of their abilities and skills and the way that they were working, and also imposter syndrome. But there was a 4th element. And that 4th element was financial insecurity. And I actually put this to one of the greatest minds in the industry. And I said, what's all this about? And the answer I got back was quite a revelation. And that was that financial insecurity is the negative feedback loop that happens when we fear failure, when we feel like an imposter, and when we doubt our skills. So essentially, it's going to be hard to earn any money if any of those things are prominent within your psyche, within your beliefs. So the actual financial insecurity was a kind of byproduct, a negative feedback loop from having those doubts and fears. But there's other things involved as well. And the other thing that is involved when it comes to, dealing with the societal elements of what we do is that, let's face it, within hypnotherapy, in some countries more than others, there's a lack of standardized regulation, which is unlike, other traditional fields in healthcare. Hypnotherapy often lacks that level of standardized education and certification and regulation. There are many different schools of thought. So, doubting your legitimacy and comparing your training to others. And that's why I hear so many hypnotherapists say to me, I'll be ready when. Honestly, if I had a dollar for every time I'd heard that, I'll be ready when I've done this next training course on this or that. I'll be ready when I'm competent in doing this type of hypnotherapy. And that's kind of, that gets stuck in people who get stuck into that loop kind of become hypno junkies for learning. They'll always be ready when, which means that they're never going to be ready, essentially. And also there's that subjective measure of success. The outcomes of hypnotherapy can be subjective and they differ between client to client. And so you might not get the response that you're expecting from a client immediately after they've done the therapy, but maybe weeks later they will. But you might see that as being a failure. I mean, I did a group session the other night and I did a guided visualization, and there was 12 people on that guided visualization. And I asked each person in turn to feed back what it was like for them, what they'd experienced. And I would say probably 4 out of those 12 said that they didn't experience anything. It was blank and they had nothing. Imagine if I only had 4 people and all 4 said that. And yet the other 8 were having, epiphanies. They were having amazing experiences with that guided visualization. So it's very subjective. And we also put very high expectations on ourselves. We give ourselves a massive amount of responsibility. How many times have I heard people saying, I just want to be perfect and help everybody that comes to me? That ain't going to happen. It's just one of those things. High expectations are going to really sort of push your confidence back. when outcomes don't meet your expectations, it can lead to self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy. And then you might compare yourself to other professionals. Yeah, there are other professionals in the mental health, like psychologists and psychiatrists, and having comparisons like that can be quite detrimental as well, especially when we see our field as being less respected. And then there's, personal awareness and self-growth. It means that we've got to have some good self-awareness and reflection. And that introspective type of practice can sometimes lead us to overanalyze our capabilities and accomplishments, which, can really hinder our confidence as well. And all these things point to being hindering our confidence. And then there's client feedback. How many times have you said to somebody, I'll do a free sessions for you in return for a review? And how many times has that review not appeared? Now, we might interpret that as being, oh, it didn't work. We weren't effective. That's the default. And yet quite often, the fact is that that person just forgot or got busy with life. But we can use that as being negative feedback because no news is bad news, as people say. And then there's the invisibility of that internal process. We're not really sure what the client's experiencing. And we're not always aware, or it's not always immediately visible or apparent what's going on. And so we don't get that feedback. And that can lead to doubt. So as you can see, there are lots of things going on here. And another big one is the cultural and media representations as well, or I should say misrepresentations. You think about how hypnotherapy or hypnosis is seen in the media. And, it's kind of like, well, unrealistic expectations, a bit demonized, Svengali, somebody who controls minds. How many hypnotherapists have heard the sort of the comment, you're not going to make me cluck like a chicken, are you, or steal my credit card details. So all of these things really can feed into that negativity. And one way that I found, and this is a thing that I practiced very, very early on, I think it was after the second week of, because I'm a very, let's say, uncertified and inexperienced when it comes to qualifications. So after doing 2 weekends of training, that was it. 2 weekends of training, I set up a group, a relaxation group in my local village hall, 6 sessions, spread over sort of every 2 weeks. And I framed it as being relaxation, mindfulness. And I kind of like dropped in little letters, hypnosis at the end, because I wanted to go in light. And I thought that'd be a really good way of, let's say, cutting my teeth on this arena, this new venture of mine. And I offered 12 places. I'd read in a book, I think it was by Karen Hand Harper, about hypnosis group sessions. Lovely book with some great advice in there. So I actually got some advice from that, and it said, just keep it small, 12 people. I got 13. I couldn't refuse the last 2 because they came as a couple. I didn't take it personally that it was going to be unlucky. But I remember that first session, I was super nervous. All I was going to do was give them some experiences of hypnosis. I was going to give them some relaxation suggestions, stick their hands together, and hopefully I thought I could fill an hour and a half, which was probably more than I should have gone for. But it worked. And I remember at the end of the session that night, we walked out the village hall, and we live in a linear village. So as we're walking out of the village hall, and people are just sort of peeling off to their houses, people were saying what a lovely experience they'd had and how they're looking forward to the next session in 2 weeks' time. Can you imagine what that did for my confidence? An hour and a half or more earlier, I was bricking it. An hour and a half later, I'm feeling on top of the world. And I came home and I was like, yeah, I smashed it. And it just really boosted my confidence. But I didn't go in heavy. I just went in light. And I think that's the thing, go in light. We're practitioners. The secret is in the word practice. practice, practice on your friends. I know family aren't the best people to practice on because there's a certain amount of resistance and lack of belief there. But, you know, practice on friends, practice on other hypnotherapists. Offer it to your local community. I mean, I did it at the price of the hire of the village hall. I think it was £20 each for them for 6 sessions, and that covered the cost of the village hall hire for those 6 sessions. I wasn't looking at making any money. I wanted to get the experience of working with people. And the age group there was from 40 to 74. So quite a wide range on the age group side of things. So, you know, really look at this whole thing as being dipping your toes. You don't have to go in all guns blazing and think, this is it. I'm the hypnotherapist. I'm here. I'm going to sort everything out. Tread lightly, but tread. Because a lot of people aren't even moving. They aren't even shifting from that. I've got my qualification now. I know what I'm doing, but I'm really scared. And people will stay scared if they stop on that spot. If they're frozen on that spot, got to get that momentum, got to get that movement forward and get some practice in. And it really is, you know, it really is essential to get that practice in. And producing a little leaflet that you put out around the local community. I mean, if you live in a city, then it might be that you've got a community centre or a library or somewhere like that. Test, test, test. If the first approach that you do doesn't work, then test another approach. And if that doesn't work, test another approach. What is it? The cost of some leaflets. Think of how much money you've invested in your training. You know, I spend as much time learning as I do practicing. I probably spend 80% of my week creating content and 20% of my week earning a living, because that's the model that I work on. It's not the same for everybody, but I'm in continuous personal and professional development. And that's another area where you'll really help yourself to do personal and professional development. If you're practicing, then find somebody who will buddy up with you and be your supervisor and discuss the cases that you're working on, discuss your insecurities. It's amazing how, when you share things like that, that you get some really good feedback and help. And as I say, practice on your peers. If you're in, you know, groups, if you're in hypnosis training, then, or you're out of hypnosis training and you've got friends from the training groups that you're in, the cohorts or whatever it is, and reach out to them and just say, look, I'm going to do this little session. I set up a group called Mind Soothe, which is a free public group on Facebook. And I set that up purely with the intention of it providing a platform for hypnotherapists like you to deliver free group sessions to practice. I've had 2 people this week sign up for it, and they're on there. If you go to Mind Soothe, you'll see that there's 2 events on there. And, you know, quite different types of events. We've had dozens of these events, and we allow about 3 weeks kind of like lead up to it so I can sort of promote it. But, you know, over 1,000 people in that group. If you get 10 people turning up to your group session, then, you know, it's the general public, it's other hypnotherapists. It's a great practice environment, and you don't have to worry about the technical side, because all you do is you fill out a jot form that gets sent to me. I create the graphics. I actually upload the event and organize everything. You just got to turn up on that for that session, for that event, and do your stuff, deliver it. And it could be half an hour, it could be an hour. It doesn't matter how short or how long it is. Just doing it is what it's important. You know, just do it. Because if you don't, you'll always be stood back on the sidelines, wishing you had. And you'll just give it feedback into your, I guess, into that negative cycle of that negative feedback loop. And if you want to earn money, then you've got to be practicing and you've got to be honing your skills. When it comes to marketing, your confidence has to come across in what you're saying. Now, I think it was Steve Bierman in his book, Beyond Pills and Potions, said that you must be the one who's least uncertain. And that is communicated verbally. It's communicated in how you present yourself as far as your posts are concerned on Facebook. It's communicated in lots of subtle ways. But think about how you can be least uncertain. Lower the barrier to your exposure by taking those first steps, because it is those first steps that are going to help you and kind of catapult you, project you into that spotlight. And I know some people just don't like being in the spotlight. Well, I'm afraid you need to get over it. And I know that might sound harsh, but when I say you need to get over it, I'm not being personal, I'm being impersonal. It's just a fact. You know, I'm lucky. I've not really come up against any problems with imposter syndrome. I might have lacked the confidence, so I threw myself into it. Years ago, when I was really sort of fearful of public speaking, I used to write poetry, I still do, and I decided to throw myself into the deep end. And I thought, well, the risk of getting up locally in a local bar on a comedy night and doing some slam poetry, the risk of that is that people who know me are going to be there, and I'm going to feel judged, and I'm going to see them in the audience. I'm going to think, oh my God, I want to be swallowed up by the stage. So I thought, well, how can I lower the barrier to my exposure? I thought, well, I could go somewhere where no one knows me. So, you know, I like to think big. And I noticed that there was a slam poetry competition in RADA at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts at RADA. And I decided to sign up for it. And there was 10 poets there that night, all very different styles. You literally drew your name out of the hat to see who was going on stage first. I nearly backed out. Last minute, I nearly backed out. But I did it. And I was so thrilled with myself. I was so pleased with myself. You know, I lowered the barrier of exposure in the sense that nobody there knows me. I'm in London. I'm 200 miles away from where I live. Okay, it was a high profile kind of venue, but it was a low profile event. It was really friendly, lovely people there, and they were all very supportive. And I got up there and I did it. And I really felt as though there was a part of me that grew in that moment. So much so that I went back and had another go. And thoroughly enjoyed it. Never been back since. I kind of did what I needed to do to get over myself, to get past. And that was before I even studied hypnosis. It was just that I knew that I had a fear of public speaking and being judged. I guess it's a kind of primeval sort of fear of, you know, if you get rejected, you're dead kind of thing. It's like crazy, like, you know, because if you live in a tribe and you get rejected from the tribe, you've not got a lot of chance of survival, have you? And it's that sort of personal worry. So, you know, step out there, experiment, try some ideas, and realize that what does failure really mean? Yeah, you get yourself up, you dust yourself down, and you go at it again, and you keep going at it, and you will build yourself up incrementally, because there's no magic pill, there's no magic spell. But use hypnosis. Use hypnosis to help yourself. Get somebody who you know to help you by doing a hypnosis session with you around confidence, around dealing with imposter syndrome. All of these things can chip away at those doubts, those niggling doubts, that fear of failure, the imposter syndrome. You know, and it really is important. Recently, I did some research, and I put together a hypnotherapist assessment test. And some of you may have taken it. And it's a series of questions. And after you've answered those questions, you get a report. And that report will put you into one of three buckets. And you get an 11-page report depending on your answers. And it tells you that it's identified that imposter syndrome, fear of failure, or the self-doubt is the sort of dominant issue. And that 11-page report gives you advice. It's free to take. It gives you advice on the things to do and the things not to do, which it gives you a little bit of a roadmap to help you navigate all of this. So check that out. I'll share the link. I believe that you'll be able to see the chat here, but I'll share the link in the chat towards the end of this session, so you can look at that.
I'll be sure to put that in the event on Facebook as well, because they can't see our chat here, but I'll grab it.
Oh, they can. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if they can't see the chat in Facebook,
they can see it. They can see it in Facebook. They can't see our chat here. Is what I meant.
All right. Okay. So if I ask a question for a competition,
yes, I have it right up here, and I can help with that. Yes,
you can choose the winners. Wonderful. Yes. Okay, that's great. Awesome. Yeah. So thank you. So, going back to the whole, imposter syndrome, I also recently did a series of sessions. I think there was 3 altogether, and that was called the 8 Lanterns of the Shadows of Doubt. And it was a live session of hypnosis, around about 48 minutes altogether, I believe. And it was very much dealing with the shadows of doubt, are all of those things that I talked about, which are the hindrances to be feeling confident. All of those things, the societal things, the doubt in your skills. So each lantern represents one of those hindrances. And that is available online. It is a course that is now available to buy. But I've also got a kind of a bigger course called the Positive Practitioner Program. And that deals with personal and professional development. That's a kind of self-working module, 5 modules that you work through. And at the end of this session, as well as a little competition to win some audible promotion codes for my book, Never Give Up, I'll also give you a bit of an offer to those programs that I've just mentioned around imposter syndrome. So, Melanie, does anyone have any questions based on what I've said so far? And to give my voice a rest, I've rambled.
Yeah, well, I've been watching, and I don't have any questions yet, but I would love for you, if you're watching now, then we're here live to answer the questions. So if anything's come up for you or any comments, Lori did say that she could already tell from the very first couple what you were saying that she needed to hear this today. So Lori says, thank you, Kev, for what you've been sharing. And I really appreciate all of the different levels at which you're making it understood. Like, it's not just a feeling that they may have. It's because of all of these different things at play. And I also love what you said about, and I'll just paraphrase because it's what I said once at a training when I was working for people who are getting certified. I said, do the work, the confidence comes. And I was given some feedback that just wasn't helpful. But you're basically saying, do the work, the confidence comes. Do it in ways that feel safe to you. Do it in ways that, you're saying, come into the group and do group sessions. Do it in ways that work for you. But do the work, the confidence comes is really true because of what you said about the magic. Yes. There is something that comes with this toolbox that we wield that until you actually see it happen, you're like, whoa. And I just have to share, when I started, if somebody, Google sent me clients like crazy, and I was like, and they were for all kinds of crazy things. And I'd be like, while I was on the phone, they told me what they were seeking help for, and I continued to talk to them. And I Google hypnosis for XYZ. And if I found that there were white papers and results, I said, I am 1000% confident I can help you, because I would do the research from between that moment and when they were in my office for the toolbox that I would be opening to help this person who was looking for help. So maybe that'll give somebody a little, insight to what they could do, because they feel like, oh, I don't know if I can help somebody with their golf swing, for instance, because I don't golf at all.
Yes.
I have. I'm like, that's the magic. That's the magic that's happening. It has nothing to do. I just have a confidence in the toolbox.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
And that's the thing about being the one who is least uncertain.
Right.
And
I'm the
which
one
is-
that's least important. And they just have to have a shred of doubt that what they're dealing with is permanent. They just have to have a shred of doubt that it's permanent and we're good. Or they wouldn't be in my chair. Hopefully they wouldn't.
Absolutely.
So
No,
do we have questions that have popped up?
I'm not seeing any questions.
Not yet, but those of you who are here, drop us a comment. Let us know that you're enjoying the conversation. And if you've got questions, please do drop them and we'll make sure that Kev hears them.
And even if it's, in the replay.
Yeah, and Lori says, I appreciate what you're saying so much. This event is reminding me that I'm not alone. I've been hesitating to finish my website because I'm scared that it won't be ready for them, thinking that I need to practice before I met with the clients. And my question is, do you have any tips that I can use to get myself unstuck? So there you go. I think that's what the solution seeking here is. Yeah.
Well, I think, the unstuckness is really about practicing lightly.
Yeah.
You're using some hypnosis, getting somebody to help you with some hypnosis around confidence, around imposter syndrome, and really stepping out and realizing that,
Sorry.
realizing that failure is, essentially part of the journey, and to embrace that, not to fear it. Yeah, it's almost like part of the process. Failure is part of the process. I remember dealing with a friend of mine. He was not a believer, by his own admission. And yet he went for a major operation, and the damage caused by the way that he was managed during the operation, not the operation itself, but the fact that he had to be in some stirrups and things like that had caused some muscle damage. And they said, oh, you're just going to have to take these painkillers. It's just one of those things. He was in the worst pain ever. And the painkillers weren't touching the sides. And he said to me, look, I don't believe what you do, but if you can help me, help me. And so I thought, what a great opportunity. And so he sat there on my sofa. I'd just had him at the hospital for a checkup because he couldn't drive because he was in that much pain. He sat on my sofa and I said to him, okay, this is going to work. And it didn't. And so he said, no, pain's still there. And my reply was, I knew you was going to be a difficult case. And he just looked at me. I said, so I'm going to pull out the big guns now. But this is that weird. This is that weird. You're going to need to close your eyes because you're not going to believe what's going to happen next. And he kind of closed his eyes, and I used a different sort of modality with him. He opened his eyes and he started to cry. The pain had gone completely. His partner could not believe when he got home that it had gone. They said he'd be like that for weeks. No more painkillers, because the pain was useless and unnecessary.
Yeah.
It wasn't doing him any good whatsoever. It wasn't telling him that he'd got appendicitis. It wasn't telling him he'd got a toothache.
Right.
It was basically the aftermath of some secondary damage because of an operation. And it was like, just cope with it, put up with it, pop these pills. So, the failure was there in the first instance. And I thought, I'm not going to be beat at this. And it was almost like a duty of care. I wanted to help him.
Yeah.
So I just got creative in my mind. I'm like, this is too weird, because he was very narrow-minded. I just knew it was that. So by telling him it was too weird for him to even watch what was happening, not that there was anything visual going to happen, but it worked.
Yeah.
But I think what really, really worked was my confidence in that this was going to work. And the reason why it didn't work is because he was a difficult, resistant subject.
Yeah. And there are phrases that our good instructors give us to use before the session, in the induction, different phrases that you use that actually present that. It's like, just imagine there's nothing you can do about that now, for example. Right?
Yes.
This is happening. Every suggestion I give you is your reality. You'll act upon without hesitation. It's now your reality because blah, 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 blah. And you literally just incorporate these phrases. It's not blah, 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 blah. I promise you.
Yeah.
You incorporate these phrases into the session, and it is like a little switch has to go in their brain that they that the inner healer can then say, okay, we'll activate. We're going to go to work. But sometimes you do have to kind of trick it. And I love that. Thanks for sorting, because you do sometimes have to trick that rational brain to just get out of the way. Or you tell them, I'm going to do something weird now. Open your eyes, close your eyes, open your eyes, close your eyes, open your eyes, close your eyes, right? Doing something weird. It is weird. And the next thing you know, they're in such a trance they can't resist. So
absolutely. And
awesome. Love that.
The other thing with hypnotherapists that I often say to them is that, you know, you should be the best marketers in the world.
Right. I agree.
You understand the power of influence and persuasion. And yet the default is, let's sell what I'm selling. And, you know, my message is, don't sell, tell. You know, present what you're doing, show that you are absolutely passionate. You know, a lovely way of getting that across is, if you get a review, then post the review as a Facebook post, but then reflect on that review. Don't say, oh, I got this lovely review today. You know, I great, because that already communicates that. But actually to say, I got this wonderful review today, and it made me realize exactly why I do this work.
Right on.
To be able to help people, to be able to change lives. And the fact that that person's life has changed means that untold lives are changed that I will never, ever know. And just to reflect on that, that shows all that compassion, that passion for what you do as well. Or even posting something that was along the lines of saying that, you know, the English Medical Association has recognized hypnosis as an effective thing since 1965. You know, it might be something
for Americans, the American Medical Association has recognized hypnosis since 1955.
55.
It's worth stating these things, because people don't know. And people don't know that you can look it up right now. There's hypnosis being used in hospitals right now for anesthesia for people who cannot use anesthesia.
Absolutely.
And they're like, really? Yeah, really. It's not so odd that you're coming to me for this thing. It's being used in hospitals. Yeah.
And in the book, in Beyond Pills and Potions, Steele Behrman talks about arresting bleeding during an operation.
Yes, I've heard of this. I've heard that it actually helps like bleeding less during an operation. How on earth? The magic that was wielded, right?
You know, less risk during the operation. And then telling the patients to go to see their general practitioner to have the stitches out 2 days before normally expected, because they're going to heal really, really quick. Wow. I mean, that book is phenomenal. And, you know, he's a surgeon and a hypnotist.
Okay, awesome. See, I wish all surgeons knew.
That would give, you know, reading that book would give a lot of hypnotherapists a lot more confidence.
Yeah, so we've got from Georgina, she says, great advice, Kev. Amy says, I love that. Being creative, but confident that it would work. We're getting some feedback here.
Wonderful.
All right. So do we want to go into the contest, or do you have more for them before we, oh, the name of the book is Beyond Pills and Potions, Lori.
That's right. Correct. Yeah, Beyond Pills and Potions by Steve Behrman, Bierman.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful, wonderful read. And there is a lot of literature out there about such things. And when you think about the amount of hypnosis that's used in dental practices.
Yep.
And
I'm a certified medical and dental hypnotherapist, and people don't even know that we're here, but we are here. We can help people before they get surgery. When they come back from surgery, we can help people with fear of surgery in the first place. All of this.
And when people hear the word surgery as well, they think, oh, God, that's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, but think about the word responsibility. You spin it round. It's the ability to respond. So if you have the ability to respond, then do it. If you don't have the ability to respond, then don't do it. But that comes with confidence. You know, it's not some kind of magical word. It's like, then get the ability by practicing and studying. If people need to get more study, then they get more study. But study isn't the kind of the panacea of imposter syndrome. It'll get you broke. I know people have gone bankrupt that they've studied so much and practiced so little. you know, and that is quite common.
Mm-hmm. Or thinking that the next whiz bang strategy is the key, right? Without the confidence of being an instructor or a practitioner, or the spending money for somebody else to market your business, the abdication of responsibility, right? Like I don't know how to market myself, and so therefore I'm going to pay somebody else. The horror stories we both hear all the time from that. So yeah, so it's about getting that confidence in you so that it can come through your fingers. And somebody asked about the rut. How do you get out of the rut? Like to market your product, you might know that you're almost good enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So to be able to finish their website, to get their marketing out there, what would you say to get out of that kind of, I'm in this place where I'm not taking action?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would look inside and ask myself, am I being a perfectionist? Because that is one of the biggest blocks. Perfectionism just steals time and stops people from doing things. You know, I'll be ready when. So, you know, that is one of the biggest. So I would say a bit of self-reflection. Am I being a perfectionist? If they decide, well, I'm not being a perfectionist, because my attitude is if it's done, it's good. And then I can adjust after that, depending on the feedback. I would say definitely take those small steps to book somewhere, to arrange something, to get a small group together, or to do it online, but do it. Take that first step. I know there's trepidation in doing that. You know, it's as easy as they can send me a message, I'll send them a jot form, and in 3 weeks' time, they've got an event up on MindSoothe. They don't have to do any technical stuff. I'll even generate the Zoom link if they haven't got, you know, if they haven't got a paid Zoom account and they want to do an hour and they can only do 40 minutes. I'll even do that. Yeah, awesome. I'll do it all for them. I'll hold their hand. It doesn't cost anything, but it's getting them out there and getting them practicing. And I would say that is probably the simplest, because I don't know the circumstances of where they live and their environment and everything, but from the safety of their own home, they can deliver something, which could be relaxation, could be anything. They could make something up, anything, and practice. You know, there's a great opportunity for them to do that. So if anybody wants to send me a message, then, you know, I can set that up for them.
I love that. Take advantage of that. If you'd like to get your wiggles out with some people who will be friendly and open to hearing you, definitely book in and do a group session and have Kev help you.
And they are very sympathetic. The people on MindSoothe, they're so sympathetic, and they're very supportive as well. And we usually get anything from half a dozen to maybe a dozen people in one of those sessions. So it's a nice manageable number.
Awesome.
So competition?
Let's do it.
Okay. So this is to get, if you're in the US or in the UK, because that's the only promo codes I've got for my Audible book of Never Give Up. So you're going to win that. And what I can do is either you can give me their details and I can send the promo codes, or they can contact me on Facebook. Just let me know who's won it. So the first question to win it is one of the first people involved in hypnosis or animal magnetism was Mesmer. So what I'd like to know is, what was either his first name or his middle name? First one to get it gets it.
Hoping it pops up on my screen. It does. They've been coming in on time. All right, we need Mesmer's first or second name. Let's do this.
Yes.
Nobody, you could use Google. It didn't say you have to pull it from your brain. Nobody knows if you're cheating. Just be the first to post. Mesmer. Bronze, says Lori.
Well done.
Awesome. Lori wins.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
That's US. We got it. Awesome.
Okay, Lori, US. Okay, so second question. I'm just going to assume that people know who Freddie Jacquin is. And Freddie has got a dog. I'd like to know what Freddie's dog's name is.
We mentioned it the other day.
We can't answer it. Oh,
Does anybody know what
you can't
Freddy's,
Google this. I don't think you can
Freddy,
Google
what is Freddy's dog's
Where's
name?
Freddy's dog?
Yeah, let's see if anybody pays attention to Freddy's post. He's always posting pictures and mentioning the name.
Come on, Georgina. You should know that one.
She's probably scanning his wall right now.
Darren. Darren probably knows
She
that.
says, I don't know. Darren's not here today. I think he's on vacation actually. Holiday.
I wonder if
They don't know.
Don't
So
know.
fun. And I don't either, so that's a shame.
Okay, I'll go with the last question. And if somebody gets this question from the recording, then they can
Yeah.
always send it to you, can't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course,
brilliant.
absolutely.
Okay, so the last question is, hypnosis comes from a Greek word.
Mm.
What does that Greek word mean?
Mm. Etymology of the word hypnosis.
Yeah, that's a good Google term.
And Google can tell you.
I'll give them a clue. The Greek word is hypnos.
Hypnosis.
Hypnos. It's really obvious when you think about it, but
Mhm.
actually no.
this is where you need a jingle.
Well, Lori can't win again, so I think
Well, she could always assign it to a friend.
yes, she could assign it to a friend. It's true.
Yeah.
That'd be lovely. And give it to somebody else in the mastermind, Lori. Well, again, we'll let them answer. And the first person to reply to the Q3 and Q2, sleep.
Yep.
Yes.
Sarah got it.
Wonderful.
Sarah Fun. All right, awesome.
Sarah, wonderful. Okay, excellent.
Hmm.
So what I'll do is I'll share my screen and I'll let you know what my
Awesome.
my little offering is,
Oh, and Lori didn't do-
if that is okay.
Yeah,
So
go
let
for
me
it.
just make sure that I've got this this up, and let's have a look.
Well, now they're all coming.
Yeah, now they're like, sleep, 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 sleep. Well, hey, Liz. Hey, Natalie. Good to hear you.
So just let me know if you can see my screen there with the imposter syndrome up at
I
the top.
can. And let me just check on the live. Can you see it on the live, though?
No, it's not caught up yet.
Okay. I think we're good. I think we're going to have to be good, but not caught up. There it
It's
is.
caught up.
All right, we're good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so earlier I talked about the hypnotherapist style assessment, and this is this here, and this is free. It takes you 2 minutes, and you will find out if you're a visionary validator, a resilient realist, or a skillful seeker.
Mm.
Cool.
Now, I'm not going to tell you what is behind those names, whether that's imposter syndrome, whether it's fear of failure, or having doubts. But what you will get from doing that assessment, and it's only a few questions, you will actually get an 11-page personalized report, which will give you lots and lots of good advice and resources to help you overcome whatever it is that you're struggling with. Also on this page here, and I'll share this link with you, Melanie, is that also on this page is the interwoven struggles, which was the report which I did from the poll that I did. And it's the research into what is holding hypnotherapists back and what gave that negative feedback loop. But you can read into a lot of detail there about that report, whether it's causation or causality and all of those things. It's a PDF, and all they do is click on that link and it downloads it for them, so they get to see that. And the other thing that I talked about was the Positive Practitioner Program, and it's a 5-module program. Now that costs £249 English, and you work at your own pace. It deals with personal, professional development. There are hypno audios, recordings that I've done for all areas of self-doubt. There's imposter syndrome. There's everything in there. And they say that's $249 pounds, sorry. But along with that, if people buy that over the next week, then I will also give them the 8 Lanterns of the Shadows of Doubt, which sells for £29. So I'll throw that in as well. And that is a 48-minute audio recording, a 21-minute primer hypnosis session, as well as a 5-minute explainer video that goes over the reasons why people have imposter syndrome, plus the 5,600 word script that they can edit themselves and use with their clients. Right. And on top of that, I will give everyone who buys that program either a copy of my physical book or the Audible promo link. And I'm also going to throw in there a 75-minute coaching / hypnosis session with me that is worth £150. So there's about £440 worth of resources there if they buy the Positive Practitioner program in the next 7 days at £249. And I'll see those orders coming in and I'll get in touch with them to get the other resources to them. So that is what is in that's what's available for anyone that would like to get that.
Thank you for that generous offer. And I would encourage you, if what Kev has shared with us over the last almost hour here has struck chords with you, if you could hear the wisdom there and you feel as if he's, and that he can help you, I would encourage you to take him up, because I think that 75-minute session is worth everything. So congratulations. Thank you, rather.
Yep.
Congratulations on all that you took it. That's what I meant. Awesome.
There's a lot there. I mean, there's weeks of work there within the Positive Practitioners program. I know one person who started it 3 weeks ago and they're still on module 1 because they're really wanting to dive into it and embrace, the areas. But you can go from one to the other. You can do it at your own pace. That's the important thing. But, it really encourages the areas of personal and professional development. So I've put the link in for that page where all of those resources are on there. I've put the link in there in the chat for you.
Yeah, I will drop that. I'm going to have to open it up and drop it because I'm actually I'm here in 2 different places.
Okay.
So I've got it open. And so once we close up here, I'll drop it in the comments of the Zoom on Facebook. Cool.
Well, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. I hope that people get some, get some little glimmers of hope there from that, gives them some ideas of things that they can do to realize that they can empower themselves and really taking those first steps. And I think the MindSooth one, it's not for profit in any way. I don't allow anybody to sell anything on that page. Everything's free. I give my time free. Everybody gives their time free. And I know that it's helped an awful lot of practitioners already who've then started to really sort of grow their business.
And if you get us that link too, so we can make sure that free resource is available in the comments. We'll make sure that's there too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll send that to you on the chat.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Kevin. I've really enjoyed this.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you.
All righty. With
Thanks,
that, we'll
guys.
wrap up. Yep. Take care. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you real soon.
I will.
Be well. Bye, everybody on Facebook. If you've enjoyed it, please give us the love. Give us the comments. Let them know that you loved them. All right. Peace. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.